Yeah, we are about to. It's, we hope no go back to the. Okay, we are live. Moshe, we are live.
So hi everyone, good evening,
Good
and
evening.
hi. Welcome to this episode of CELTO Tech Talk. And we have this firehouse today of sound engineering experts from west of India. And I am just going to quickly introduce all our five special guests. We have Siddharth Sood and Yogesh Dhawan joining us from our CELTO Acoustic Experience Center in New Delhi. And our five guests, a brief introduction. I'm sure if I had to really do justice to introduction of each of them, it would take another 4 hours. However, let me start with the first. You have to treat the music as per the genre and not as the artist. This is what our first guest believes in. Our first guest is Fali Damania from Mumbai, with over 15 years of work experience within the audio engineering industry, and worked with the A.R. Rahman and Amit Trivedi. He handles the market development for Shure Audio Technologies for South Asia region. Besides, he's also a fellow Vincentian.
Okay.
Coming to the next is truly a veteran with 25 years of audio engineering experience. I'm glad to introduce to all of you Mr. Ashish Saksena, owner and chief sound engineer of Purple Haze Studios, who's worked and is working with directors, music directors like Shankar Ehsan Loy, Louis Banks, Vishal Shekhar, etc., and also engineers live concerts for Shankar Ehsan Loy, Ayushman Khurrana, KK, amongst many. The next is Mr. Nitin Joshi. Mr. Nitin Joshi is somewhat a scientist turned into an engineer. Mr. Nitin Joshi has a postgraduate in microbiology, and due to his passion, he followed his passion and he moved into sound engineering way back in 96 when he started his own recording studio in Nagpur. He's recorded, mixed, and mastered albums for Times Music, Sony, EMI, etc. He's been a live engineer for Ragini, Raghu Dikshit, Talvin Singh, etc. Festivals like NH7 Weekender, and also works with Shubha Mudgal, Shivamani, Papon, and Indian Ocean. Next is from Mumbai, joining us, Mr. Camille Polycarp. Mr. Camille is a live sound and recording engineer. He's worked at festivals such as Supersonic, Pune, Paddy Fields, Jodhpur Riff, Uzbekistan Jazz Festival. He's also contributed his sound engineering skills in Bollywood projects, many of them such as Kal Ho Na Ho, Munna Bhai MBBS, etc. Lastly, I would like to introduce a guy who comes with a rare combination. His name is Aseem Dhaneshwar. Welcome, Aseem. He comes with a rare combination of being an engineer as well as an artist. So he's behind the scenes as well as in the limelight. As an engineer, he's worked with Monali Thakur, Siddharth Mahadevan, Amit Mishra, Shalmali Kolgare, etc., and has also been a mix engineer of various independent singles and albums. Now he's a featured as a co-singer with Shalmali Kolgare on live shows. Now, the one thing common between our panel today of these special guests is that all are dual skilled in studio as well as live. And that brings me to an open question for all of you. I'd like to know from all of you is with live sound not being very active currently due to the world crisis, are you currently focusing all your energies on the studio function of engineering? And how are you keeping yourself more and more professionally occupied during this lockdown? Over to you.
I'm not really doing much in the studio. I mean, I am doing a few jobs here and there for some friends.
Ashish, we can't hear.
Ashish,
Sorry,
we can't hear you.
Distorting, Ashish.
Yeah, you're distorting. The new normal.
I'm on an iPad. I don't know how to. Is there a way to turn it down?
You
Could try and connect again. Maybe
yeah,
that's an issue
just
with the
try
connection.
and connect again.
Give me a second.
Whoever wants to go ahead and answer that, you're welcome. It's an open question.
I think we should leave Aseem to answer that question because
He's the busiest one.
he's the
right
busiest one.
Yeah.
with the
it's
the
been-
Instagram profile and the YouTube profile, Aseem should be the one telling us what to do at this point.
I mean,
Go, Aseem, go.
at this point, it's just a very strange realization that I had, that I was not doing all I could. I was doing everything I could, but it wasn't all. So I was sitting on a lot of material that I never thought of releasing. And now it's only about doing that as a new job, making music, coming up with new singles. I just released another collaboration on the 3rd with this producer from Pune. So at the moment, the studio hours are going pretty long because I generally record into my engineer's computer in America. So we usually sit through in the night so that there's quite, there's no road noise here also, and everything around is also quite feasible to work. So I've been doing work in the late nights and chilling through the day. But it's been a great revelation of sorts that I finally felt that I am supposed to do this. You know, I kept feeling that I could do it. I could not. Like, how do I let go of a job? How do I focus on my music myself? But I think this was the way that it could just happen. Like, now I feel I don't think there is that fear of losing a job. You know, like, it's almost like there's so many different things going on parallelly. So
I think it was very difficult to manage time earlier, and now it's slightly easier to decide and follow your passion, if I might say.
Yeah, because there's no gigs happening whatsoever, right? So it's pretty much everything's from home. And I'm just very happy that I have a setup here that caters to everything I can, like mixing, sending like a vocal draft to another producer. So I'm doing a lot of collaborations with people around the world. It's going on fantastic. I can't complain. It's been amazing.
No, you shouldn't. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And on the opposite side, I'm playing Scrabble all the time. And from Unlock One, yes, from Unlock One, I've started riding back whenever I can in Pune district.
No, I've been seeing the Instagram posts and they're lovely. I mean, every picture that you've clicked.
Yeah.
Sir, what are you not? Photographer, writer, sound engineer, recordist. Anything I'm missing out over
Ex-microbiologist.
Microbiologist.
My only connection to microbiology is my wife. She teaches in Ferguson College. She's head of the department biotechnology.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I've seen your pictures, Nitin. They are incredible.
Yeah. Thanks,
not just the riding part, the way you've taken nature and stuff, those are really incredible.
That's a passion. Another one. The music was passion, which I converted to profession. Photography is just passion. I want to keep it like that.
That's very nice. That's to be able to convert to, first, like we've discussed previously, Moshe, in some of our sessions, first know your passion.
Yes.
That itself is a challenge, and then to know it and to be able to convert it into what you love doing. That's incredible. I mean, that's what I tell my kids today, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ashish sir is back, sir. You were saying something that time. Sorry.
I don't. Is my voice okay now?
Yes, it's fine,
yes,
sir. It's fine.
So
Oh,
keep restarting, okay?
Keep restarting. Like the bike. No, nothing much. Just a few odd jobs for friends and watching webinars, keeping yourself updated. And strangely, might be heading into a gig on the 15th.
What are you saying?
Yeah, for it to be live streamed for a
okay.
company.
Uh-huh.
So we'll be heading
corporate
over to
gig, corporate virtual gig.
corporate virtual gig. So let's see where that goes, and what comes out of that, and hopefully that's a way to maybe start off the whole shows thing again. So fingers crossed. Basically, let's see how it goes.
No, fingers crossed. I'm sure it will go very well. Knowing you, sir, nothing can go wrong. Don't worry.
No, it's not just me. It's also now there is an added element of the guys who are going to be streaming it, and the whole camera element will be there, and
Hmm.
so all those things will also we'll get a good grasp on how it's all incorporated and how we can now take it forward. Because I think this could also become a bit of a new norm for us, where quite a few of our shows may be live streamed. So
So
I
you're doing
totally.
it in an auditorium or in a hall or a studio?
no, we are going to the vendor's warehouse,
Okay.
where he's set up a stage with a truss and lighting and
Oh,
everything.
okay, okay. But
And
it's like a live show.
yeah, so it'll be a live show. Of course, there'll be no audience,
Ah,
and
correct.
so let's see how it comes. I'll
Football
surely
match
keep
in an empty
everyone updated.
stadium. Football
Haji,
match in an empty stadium.
football match in an empty stadium,
No,
or the cricket which is happening now between England and
Uh,
I don't know, West Indies or Africa,
West
empty
Indies, West
stadium.
Indies.
That
West
started today,
Indies,
no?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about Camille?
Well, helping myself relearn a lot of things that I didn't know in the past or always hungry to learn. Thanks to Shure, thanks to Sennheiser and so many other brands that have brought in available knowledge that would otherwise be in a service book or a service manual. Besides just owning, having an owner's manual, so much of it is available online. My weakest strength I'd call now is the RF world, which I'm still working hard at getting to know it better. And as you get to know it better, it keeps changing time and again. So it's not that difficult today to get information. Wonderful Fali also is there to guide us if we need any more, at least from a show perspective. Ashish and seniors like Nitin and many others are just a phone call away. So and especially in today's time, where most of us seem to have at least some time to dedicate towards family and friends, it's a call away. In terms of work, I've done one song which been released a few days back on World Music Day, which was fun, a bit of a challenge, but I had fun mixing a live recorded album. So the two songs are done, three more to go. Let's see how it goes. And yeah, most of all, spending time with family, which otherwise was impossible.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Playing with my kid, watching games, playing games. I don't know what else.
I
Crazy
think
stuff.
watching him grow up, something we all miss.
Yeah, I'm sure all of us do that.
I know.
yeah, I
Even
think
though
Ali,
I think my wife is ready to throw me out now. So.
Enough of you.
You speak for all of us. Trust me.
yeah, you were supposed to clean the fridge. It's not done yet.
Fali,
Ali, yes, I am. Thankfully, I took up this.
Busiest of the lot right now. Actually.
On 22nd March, I thought, finally I'm going to get some rest, and finally I'm going to get to hang with the kids, because in 5 years I've honestly barely been at home. It's really been some of the busiest years that I've had, and I was like, yeah, and then all of that in 2 days into the lockdown changed, because then suddenly the Axiom digital rack was at my house, all the microphones were at my house. I had to pull out cables from everywhere and set up a little streaming platform from home. But I think the good thing is that it's, when you're sometimes pushed to the wall, is when you have to just figure out and make things work. And if you were to ask me anything before, a few months ago, how does this whole online thing work, and how does Amazon work, how does all these streaming portals, YouTube, etc. work, I was like, I don't know, and I don't care. It's not my job. But I've just realized that, man, it's actually so much fun. So how how do I sit at home and make someone experience a product that's in front of me, because I can't physically go to them? So then it throws up a lot of questions, how to do various things, and then you learn. And I think honestly, if you have the opportunity to learn anything, doesn't matter what it is, you should always be taking that. I mean, obviously, this is not the best circumstance to be learning things, but it's like, that's why I threw open the question to Aseem first, because we've been actually pushing a lot of engineers, especially the young engineers and young musicians,
to get on social media and get their little social media profiles really up there. Because in the long run, I think it will benefit a lot of people, because you're not necessarily waiting for a gig to come your way. You start creating your own gig, basically. And in this day and age, with the advent of YouTube, it's just a matter of starting rather than waiting to start. And I think this is the perfect time to just get started.
Well, sir, if I may ask a little bit on what you just said,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you've been trying to make people understand about the new products.
Yeah.
Okay, as an engineer, as myself, if I
Yeah.
get something in front of me, I would like to fiddle around with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How have you overcome with that challenge when you've been speaking to somebody? I'm sure
Because
that must have been an issue.
Yeah, it was an issue thinking of how to do it, because how do I have a webcam in front of me and how do I show the products next to me? And then I had to figure out, how to use various streaming softwares, how to integrate multiple cameras into my stream, where, the people can actually see what I'm doing on the product, from really close up. So, I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, there's no. I personally get very bored if I have to. Hi, son.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
ये रोज का है. He just went.
Yeah, this is no, yeah.
Please don't worry about it.
I get
grown
pers-
quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, he's 5.5 now. He'll be
Wow.
chilling.
No.
Saw them
it's
as
like,
little babies, actually.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with what Fali is saying. I mean, like, for example, what we are doing ourselves. I mean, from a experience center audio demo room, we have more or less turned our demo room into a production studio sorts.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first started about 2 months back, we used the laptop, and exactly what you said, Fali. Believe me, in terms of the streaming and all, I was really, I realized how behind I was. I mean, Facebook Live is not a new thing, but I honestly never even looked at it. That live icon was always there, but never even bothered about it till now, when we had to figure out, how
Exactly.
to, in this new normal. I mean, we thought it's easy to stay shut and all,
and
but
the thing is, it's the new normal for us. It's not the new normal for anywhere else in the world. They've been doing this for decades now.
True.
Like, if you look at any of these online players, from Sweetwater to whoever it is, they've got such amazing content on their websites. Some of it might even be better than the manufacturer's content. But it's an investment from their side for their business. And
Fali, that's true, because whenever I want to watch a product description, I would much rather watch either a Sweetwater review,
Thomann.
or a Thomann review, rather than going to, say, that particular brand's website, because it's very cut and dried there. But the Sweetwater one is more interactive, it's more fun,
exactly,
maybe more knowledgeable also, as
Exactly.
compared to what the manufacturer might put up.
Correct. So it's a lot of it is just breaking some of the rules, I guess, because to an extent, what applies anywhere else in the world does not necessarily apply here. So if I want to go and buy a product, I want to try it. I don't want to read 100 reviews. Yeah, 100 reviews may be great, but I actually want to see if that product is going to work for me. Now, how do I do that sitting at home? Is the challenge, and that's why the demo kit, the multiple, and it's not like some big investment has done. So I'm using my office iPhone as one camera. I'm using my personal Android phone as the second camera. One very old GoPro that I have as a third camera. So it's not like some major investment has gone into it. It's just a matter of learning the softwares, putting everything together, and just making it interesting. Like, who wants to see a presentation for 45 minutes? I think that's the most boring thing on earth. Like, I'd rather play with the equipment and actually show off the equipment rather than watch a presentation.
I've done a little another analysis on this, and I've seen that what you said. Yes, of course, abroad they were already doing a lot of these things. The other thing is that also the target. I mean, in terms of age, what I kind of realized, that 20 somethings, the 30 somethings, they were already much more online, doing already much more things online. I would say, like, I'm in my 40s. The 40s somethings plus were a little slower to adopt to it, because we come from a time where we started with the dial-up internets and things. The 20 somethings, they have grown up on it. So, for example, like our sound engineer Karthik, who's a young guy. How old are you, Karthik? 26. When we had to do this, He he went on online only YouTube videos, this, figured out what platform, OBS, this, that. I mean, honestly, I had not even heard of OBS, and we're not using OBS right now.
Yeah.
But even the streaming of Zoom, Shoom, so the younger ones kind of are adopting to it a little faster. And of course, that's what I've kind of
I
analyzed.
just come into this when I got my Mac first in '96. I literally had to sit with the mouse to play jigsaw puzzle to get hang of that mouse. I was not able to point it to the right where I wanted to. I'm not joking. It was actually
a Mac in '96 is still commendable, man. That's like,
and Pro Tools like.
That's a year before I joined the industry.
I was 7, guys. I was 7.
You were 7.
I was 7 then.
Fali, talking on about your particular profession, I mean about live sound and stuff. So you've been a lover of outboard gear. So given a choice to customize a console, what would your style and choices be to build and then use the same one?
Man, like the outboard thing is quite an misunderstood thing by most people. Just like a console is quite misunderstood by most people, and the presumption is that if you have so and so console, the show is going to sound great, and if you have so and so outboard, the show is going to sound great, which is like not true. Like, you know, it's like it's I know, at least from myself, and I'm pretty sure from Ashish and everyone else's side, like we were mixing on 16 channel whatever was available, basically. Like, you know, it was not that I had to have only this or I had to have only that. So the outboard thing for me has come very late, and it's come at a point where, you know, I felt I could afford to buy the outboard, you know, so which is basically the past 2 years out of 15 years of doing this. So, you know, it's and it's not like without that you know, you can't make a show work. In fact, without that, it's up to you to prove that you can make a show work more. So it's not the essential thing. It's just, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that comes before that little final piece. Yeah, it might be the final, you know, 5 or 6 or maybe 10% at the most. But the more important part is the, you know, is the 90% that's behind that. So I'm not an endorser of hardware products. It's just, you know, I like to use the stuff, and also I don't like to use too much because then it starts to get too complicated for me. I just like things very simple and very straightforward. So few buttons, few knobs is good enough, and you know, don't make it too complicated. So I'm not necessarily an advocate that you have to have the stuff. Yes, I like to use them, but I mean, beyond that point, it's not a necessity by any means at all.
Okay.
I sort of agree with Fali. In fact, for me, and I think for Nitin and maybe to a certain extent for Camille also, we are more like guerrilla type engineers where we just go in maybe an hour before, do a sound check, you know, stick around, do the show and head out. So setting up outboard and all for us at that moment may be a little tricky and troublesome. I am not totally against carrying outboard. It's just that I feel more comfortable with everything in the box.
In the box,
you know,
yeah.
rather than having these extra items floating around. More chances of things going wrong.
That's the other fear. It's like, you know, carrying these 3 Pelican cases with you know, really expensive gear, and my first thought is, what if the airlines damage it? What if it gets lost? And it's like, then I decide, like, you know, okay, is the show that I'm going for really worth taking so much extra gear for? So if it's a corporate or if it's a wedding show, I don't bother much. It's like, yeah, cool, like, you know, no big deal. But if it is like a show that, you know, there is a good, like, you know, standing audience really into it, then I'm like, okay, let's just take a little bit and you know, see what happens. But it's always a question before traveling: is it worth taking the gear out? If it is, mostly if it's Mumbai, Pune, close by, yes, I do. If it's over a long flight, I prefer not to.
So, guys, tell me one thing. I mean, since you all are saying the same thing in terms of gear, how has it happened that over the, like you said, Fali, that started with 16 channel mixers and stuff? How did you guys feel that this gear has become really important? You know.
I'll come into this.
Yes.
I mean, I have started when I was using a 16 channel Studio Master and Black Widow speakers and one Ahuja amp. I used to borrow car from my father-in-law, dump that, and go to a concert in Nagpur, or do a DJ party, or whatever, that kind. To a digital console, and I'm one of the few guys who don't carry a scene per se. I create every scene fresh because I don't want to undo what I did for the last gig. That's my thing. Like, and when I'm traveling with Shiromani, it's all dynamic. Every day, every gig, something else is added or removed. So I like in a particular order from left to right. So I like to create fresh scenes. So it's always, any mixer you give me, the mixer I'm not very comfortable with, I'll go half an hour early, save the buttons, the positions where I have to press in my RAM, and use it. Get out, forget it. Fresh gig, fresh mixer, whatever, fresh scenes. So the newer generation has been brought up doing scene. If a new engineer doesn't have a scene within, he cannot work. So he wants a particular mixer where his scene is going to work. Without that, he can't do. He has never done anything from start, ever. Like first gig he might have done.
Listen, buddy, I won't even say the new engineers, because when I was working with sound.com, and I won't name any people, but I got blasted because a USB input on an M7CL would not work.
Wasn't
the scene
working.
the scene could not be loaded. I was like, man, I'll mix the show for you. It's not a big deal.
So I guess the problem has been because previously there wasn't equipment. You had to work on your skills, and you did it with whatever you got.
Now I'm telling the plugins has become one. I mean, there are people who cannot do without these plugins. So if you want to use X number of plugins, to set it up takes long time. So a scene is made with whatever was done last time. The same scene is opened in a concert when everything starts feeding and all the levels are then undoing, actually carrying a scene and spending more time on undoing stuff, which I have seen mostly in festivals. This is where I get to see other engineers work. Otherwise, I'm traveling with my band or my artist, and I don't get to see. Only festivals you get to see all this.
Something whatever small experience I've had in this industry, I feel people are also trying to get what they have achieved in the studio live into the live sessions. Is what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong.
Wrong? No. I don't see that at all happening.
Sir, okay, then let me ask you this. Where do you feel that studio and live have crossed paths? Because you've done both. Basically. You've seen the best of both worlds.
Because, very frankly, I'll tell you, there are two factors which have helped studio engineers to enter into the live world. One is the mouse. Yeah. And the second thing is plugins, because it brings a very familiar view. To the sound engineer in the studio, where he's watching a screen,
not listening,
and he's manipulating things on the screen, and now he can do the same here. And Avid is to blame.
We have to credit Avid for that. I was waiting for you to say that.
And Avid is to blame for all of this.
Let's hope Leslie's not watching this. Okay.
No, it's cool. Avid, I'm pretty sure Avid knows about it.
Yeah, and that's why Avid now is trying to get away from watching the screen, They are now trying to
concentrate. Moved on the side.
People, they put the screen on one side. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's to blame. But also, I am not against engineers coming into the line and working and trying and whatever. It's absolutely fine. I mean, we are a growing line. I personally feel that live sound is still a growing line. It's not as saturated as maybe the studio line is. So there is enough room for
even the sound is saturated. The plugin, even the sound is saturated. Compressors being used on all lines, all buzzes. So
yes, totally. Yeah. So that again comes down to education, I think, because education is not so strong here in India. I think so. Therefore, these follies and mistakes do come into the thing. We've been lucky because most of us have grown through the entire era of jumping from analog to digital, and we've grown with the whole thing. So we are more in tune with about live sound and everything. But all the new entrants, they of course definitely try and copy what they have heard in the studio. So they may end up compressing a lot. They may end up so their mixes may sound a little smaller when it happens on the PA, but that's all because of their training in the studio, where those mixes work really well on the small speakers and on TV and stuff like that, but doesn't really translate onto the big PAs. So, and then they all, of course, get a little, befuddled with why it's happening. And unfortunately, there's not enough education to teach them how to get out of this whole, mess that they have created. I mean, not a mess, but this whole situation that they've created.
But
I mean, that's
I,
what
I think I agree with Ashish's point, but I think it's up to them to figure out why that is happening also. So there are two parts of it. One thing is it's happening and you know it's happening and then you want to figure out what to
Yeah.
do about it. And the second thing is it's happening and you don't realize it and
Sorry.
it doesn't matter. So there are two things, two ways. So it's like to everyone's credit, I mean everyone out there does the best that they can. But it's like if you do realize that there is something not okay, I mean then you need to figure out what is not okay. And fortunately or unfortunately, there's very little in this live sound field when it comes to online, this education wise, because how do I tell you what is the right way to mix a live show? I can't do that. I can maybe do that a little bit to demonstrate like studio technique. That is slightly different. But how do I tell you and demonstrate to you what's the best way to go about a live show? And mainly from the point of view of every show is different. Every venue is different.
Every day. I mean, every day
is different. Exactly.
Every hour also is different.
Exactly.
You do sound check at say 3-4 in the afternoon. Your show is in the evening at 7 or 10, or your slot is much later. Or you're doing sound check at 7 in the morning. Your slot starts at 3 in the afternoon. That makes a huge shift.
No, even then, I was doing one gig at Nazrul Manch where they were reconstructing. So there was one shade on top. So, and it was like the sound was reverberating and it was chaotic. After that, it rained and it was open on all sides. Added moisture changed the whole sound. Instantly I got really, it was the best sound. Earlier I was so worried, I was wearing headphones. I couldn't hear the sound. It was just coming from PA. So all these factors change. Like as Camille was saying, every hour. Auditorium filled, or when sound check is happening, auditorium empty.
Yeah. Small thing like tents on top of the drummer. In the evening, the tent has been
going out
because it's, and the whole sound has changed again. So it's really difficult to teach people all that.
Nitin, thank you for that, because Moshe, now when you tell me to make packages, that we should have packages, I say every setup is different. You cannot. This is not a setup where you can design A, B, C, D or gold, platinum. This thing, moment you change something little. This is the whole thing about pro audio. I mean, I'm not a live sound engineer, guys. I'm a computer engineer by education, but audio was my passion. I somehow just wanted to get into audio. So every place is unique, and that's where it starts from. The designing of the setup, based on the application is where it starts off from. So, Nitin, you've had like a very intriguing world. Right from microbiology to biking to, of course, sound engineering, and of course, in Nagpur using Pro Tools in a very initial years. What's your take and thoughts on the digital world of audio, and how easy or difficult is the transition between the old studio consoles, to the current live sound consoles?
Actually, when I started my studio, I had Pro Tools, which could record only 16 tracks. So I had an ADAT sync to that to have additional 8 tracks. It's all going through analog console. That's how I started initially. Then when I moved to Pune, I had a O2R, which was a digital console.
Very popular at that time.
Yes, I got used to that. And then when I started with Agni, started traveling with Agni for live concerts, it was like 2006-07. Yamaha had released M7CL.
M7, yeah.
So that was the common digital board I was getting everywhere. And because O2R, it was easy transition for me. And then came DigiDesign console, SC48. And I was using Pro Tools. So again, it was a similar kind of feel to it. But now when I'm doing classical concerts, I miss the analog console. For last 3 years, for Shubhaji's concert, gig tech, I have written analog console with 5 graphic equalizers. In 3 years, I've got only once.
पकड़ा है इसको, पकड़ो इसको, बैठा है यहाँ पे,
सर आप हॉस्टल में मिलते हो, क्या करूं?
बोलो.
Because the problem is that consoles are there, but nobody has 531 band EQs working.
531.
सर मेरे पास
है तो दियो अगली बार से.
सर आप मैंने कहा ना फेस्टिवल में मिलते हो. What can I do? I get stuck. I have to cater to a lot of engineers.
I know.
Including our friend.
No,
over here.
especially why I'm saying on classical specifically because the tabla sound coming out of an analog console without touching the EQ, just putting the gain up and a 58 on tabla, that sound has never been replicated on a lower digital console, I would say. The higher ones do that, but not the.
Sir, but then you're also mixing a legend like Anish Pradhan, na sir? Matlab.
Sir, but tabla sound
aap dekho na, sir.
58 or analog console, any analog console, it sounds way natural, way acoustic to any digital console.
There I agree with you. There I totally agree with you.
Analog digital discussion is one huge, but simple. My two this thing on it. A year's analog end of the day.
Yeah.
We can't.
I'll tell you the example. Like when you on a digital console, you put the gain up and listen to the tabla. You have to immediately dive to the EQ. On an analog console, you put the gain up. Yeah, it's already good. You don't need to. Then you need to correct a little bit if you think with the whole mix you want to do something. That's all. So that's a huge difference.
Just to let you know, do you remember Jodhpur Riff जब हम लोग मिले थे? Initial years of Jodhpur Riff.
Yeah, it was analog.
Two analog consoles.
Yeah, I know.
The MH2 and the GB8 with all outboard racks. Because the French engineer didn't know how to use.
I know. I had done one gig with that.
Yes. Sir, but then it kept on evolving. You have so many channels. I
know. The convenience of digital you cannot. For a festival you cannot have.
So there we got stuck.
And even for classical, because there are 5-6 inputs maximum and 3 or 4 auxes, you can still use analog console.
I know.
For any band more than 5 people, you can't. There are stereo in-ears and wedges also, side fills also, and it's all that. So
yeah,
you just can't.
I would love to see you.
I would like to respond to that one.
On a
I did it in Bangladesh. Because
you may need roller skates to go from one end to the other.
No. Ashish, let me tell you this. When I went to Bangladesh for the festival, where Shiva was playing with another 10-20 musicians. So there were 2 options. The Digico did not reach. So I was offered LS9, which I refused to because for Shiva's gig, if I have to use cursor to reach different places, the time would be gone. So they had the option of LS9 or analog console, which I preferred. And that was the best gig I did. There were 7 gigs, out of which 5 I did. It was really good. And 2 outs were coming from the digital, coming into the analog, and that was the outtake. So I didn't have to run. During sound check, yes, little bit, but...
So I have a question for everyone. How much is it our fault as engineers for insisting that all artists get a complete 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour sound check? And that's why when we roll into festivals, we have to start. Nitin, you and me know.
I know.
I have to be awake at 6 in the morning at Sula Festival and be at the grounds by 6:30 in the morning for a 7 o'clock sound check.
It's not our fault. I think we deserve that time with every band.
I have a different take on it. I have a different take on it from the point of view of the bands don't get festival ready. So in a pinch, when you have to play a festival, you can't get your head around that 45-minute sound check, which is actually quite possible.
No, we have done it. I mean, it is.
We've done it.
Some bands which are like, they come there, the guitarist does not play unless he's asked to.
Discipline number 1.
Yeah, discipline. So there are bands with discipline and you do finish the sound check in 45 minutes flat, or you will have 5 minutes spare. Or there are extended sound checks which go on and on and on. And if you are a headlining act, the other people don't get time. So, yeah, Fali.
Yeah. No, exactly that. Like I remember doing one festival with in Delhi itself at your that race course in Noida.
No,
and
car wala na.
Yeah. So the bands not in 8/7. It was something for MTV. The bands did not get sound check. It was Megadeth headlining the show, and the bands were given half an hour turnaround, and everyone was zapped. Like, how is it possible? I was like, yeah, it is possible if you don't waste time, going for a smoke break and doing various things. I'm pretty sure for a 4-member band, 30 minutes is sufficient to complete a sound check. So we've done with Amit Trivedi shows with no sound check. Because there was an option. You either do sound check at 7 in the morning, or you come, there's a half an hour, 40-minute break. In that break is your setup and your sound check and your show. And we've several times chosen that. And then my question to the band is, why are we going so early for sound check when you know it is possible? In a pinch, you know it is possible we can get it done, get everything done in 45 minutes to 1 hour. So I think there are so many, Nitin, you might remember bands from NH7 that when it was a festival, they did not sound check. They had no interest of coming early in the morning.
Yeah.
They had everything set up so well that they could come, plug in, and start playing. And by the second, midway into the first or the second song, they were good and they were sounding great. So it's just something that needs to be worked at, I think, a little bit. And I think it would save everyone it would at least give us engineers a little more sleep.
So okay, I worked
If nothing
maybe with the
else.
less professional bands who tend to come on the stage and start practicing also. Probably, which is why I said that. No, I've had a lot of people coming on stage and rehearsing their songs in the name of soundcheck.
No, I have seen all the fusion bands. Most of the fusion bands, the musicians don't meet before. Okay, it's always phone calls. Somebody's traveling from somewhere. Somebody's coming. They come on stage during sound check. Ye bajayenge, wo bajayenge. You do that. I'll do this. Is what happens when the show starts. They start sound checking, and this is the common thing that nobody says this. I haven't seen a musician.
So do it with the eyes and the face, na? This.
If someone asks me to turn something down, I want to come and give them a medal. Actually.
Yeah.
Medal,
I have actually taken a mic and thank you so much. I have said in their ears.
I've had a lot of foreigners say that to me, by the way, and I was very happy for that. A lot of foreign musicians have said that to just turn it down, and that is such a sight for sore eyes. Since we're on that topic, I would have, since Camille has just decided to be in the background, what are the challenges that you face? Besides me being your friend and your monitor engineer for the festival and roommate. Roommate, monitor engineer, friend. Have I missed something?
Walking partner. Walking partner.
Oh, not on Facebook Live, please.
Walking partner. Walking.
Walking.
Not Johnny walking.
थोड़ा muffled आ रहा है.
हम TV sound. Next time we'll put a monitor for you. We'll put a VCR.
What challenges have you faced other than me making your life so simple?
Thank you for making life simple. It's a lot easier when you work as a team, and everybody will agree the same thing, that teamwork is always much more organized. Fali also would agree, so would Ashish and Nitin. At a festival, you generally tend to work as a festival patch, and that's the easiest way to work. Now, in certain scenarios where you have to manipulate certain things because it's a spec and you can't change it around. So, in my experience, all the while through all the years, is you would discuss this first with the band managers, engineers who are coming or not, those are traveling to the festival. Get that organized in place first, so that like when you arrive over there, you're not suddenly surprised. In some cases, you will have where the band's not been told that the stage plot is not going to change. Now that's a big problem when you arrive on site and you're told like, hey man, it's just going to be there, you can't change it. That's not fair to the artist. You have to give them that much, where you give them a chance to decide, I'm okay with the common stage plot, or I know I specifically want certain things moved around. That's a flexibility at a festival. If it's a concert scenario, it's standard. You can't a stage plot, a rider of a band is sacrosanct as per requirement. That's different from a festival. Challenges is always when miscommunications or communications haven't happened in the chain of command from the booking day till arrival on location for a sound check. That's when you actually have to deal with the problem. And as engineers, you're always on the firing line. You have to find a midway, to find peace, to get the job done, keep the artist happy, and get the show on the road. So it's not a challenge. It's more so giving music a priority right there and then. I've had this one situation, I won't name artists, where artists were collaborating, and this was at the Blue Frog. They'd come together, and some discrepancy during soundcheck happened, and it escalated into a massive fight. Now the show had to happen. I stepped in. I said, "Listen, boys, whatever the problem, let's sort it out." We got it sorted, and that was the first time I think I broke down when, in fact, all of us, about 5 of us, did like a group hug, and all of us broke down, saying, "Man, we're here for the music. Why are we fighting?" Okay, now that's what we are here in the business for artists to, um, be center stage at the same time get due credit for what they're supposed to do. That was one of my experiences with the Frog. The festival, each case is different. Easier way is to have a common platform, which is communicated right in the beginning. If it's meant to be different for everybody, that also needs to be communicated. If you are stringent about certain norms, they need to be communicated right from the very first interaction or confirmation of that particular event. That's the way I see it, and it should be.
Camille, because you said Blue Frog, just a lot of memories came to me. That was one of the best places I've ever did sound for in a closed environment, and everything around it was for music, for
Yes.
everything. Like it's so beautiful. Just a lot of memories came.
So,
I just
Camille,
wanted-
I have a question. I will not take names because I think Ashish sir might know what I'm talking about. If you have confirmation on email of the exact patch list that you would want and you've delivered, and when the person comes for sound check, and again, I will not take any names, and changes the entire patch list and expects it to be done within 15 minutes, what would you do?
मैं समझ गया कमील ही था.
नहीं.
You're not taking.
Camille
Must
wasn't
have been
there.
me only.
Camille wasn't there.
Well, it depends on how much time you have to gates opening. If I have the
No,
bandwidth,
the show was the next day.
then I have the bandwidth of making the changes as per requirement. If the show is the next day, then and the engineer wants a complete change, I'll do it. But I need my
15
minimum
minutes.
time required. It can't be done in 15 minutes.
And the next day's changeover time also has to be considered.
Yes.
For doing all that.
Yeah. If it's the only act, you're doing soundcheck day one and the gig the next day, fair enough. I will do it for you, but if you're saying 15 minutes, it's not viably possible. 2 piece, 3 piece, चलो हो जाएगा 15 मिनट में.
Somebody is taking kundak on you. मुझे तो ये लग रहा है because this is a personal experience that I faced.
No. I'm telling you, if it's a 2-3 piece band, making a change.
No. I can name the artist. It's Shankar sir's band.
हाँ.
But that was it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, वो काफी लंबी कहानी है. Got trolled. Not trolled is not the word, but मेरा नाम काफी spoil किया गया उस वजह से, and I was blamed for a lot of wrong things. But I'm not trying to bring my example up. I'm just trying to say, in a situation like that, what does a guy do?
In a situation like that, it's rather simple. If you're saying the show was the next day, then I can do the change that the artist is asking and the engineer is asking. If the show is the same day, then I can't make massive changes. I can do small changes here and there. Okay, in 15 minutes, if you're talking about a bandwidth of 15 minutes and the gig is the same day, my time is very limited. So I don't think I can do all your requirement changes. If the gig is the next day, you give me extra time, or you take a break, come back after an hour.
Channel, something like that. Patch list which had to be.
Well, if it's a snake scenario, it's still easier to change. If each patch has been changed, then it cannot be done in 15 minutes. The minimum is half an hour is what I would say. Roughly about a minute per channel, depending on how many changes are there. Is it like a complete swap around, or is just a few microscopic changes?
Yes, complete swap around.
Okay, then you need minimum half an hour. That it could take some more time. If the stage plot is the same, then again the stage plot is the same. That also matters. A change in stage plot means moving a drum kit from.
I don't know. Ashish sir, do you remember the show? No.
I would like some more information on this actually.
Sir, not on this, not on social media.
From the time that Fali and I, and then even after Fali left, I don't think we've ever moved from our so-called.
I will drop the topic. I will drop the topic there and then, sir.
No. I don't worry. I am not. I would like some more information. Just.
No, it wasn't you, sir. Don't worry. You are not the culprit. It was somebody else.
Achha, it was somebody else.
It was somebody else, sir. And I love you because you supported me.
Okay, thank
We'll talk about it some other time, sir.
Alag Zoom meeting.
Another meeting for that one. I think we'll continue this call afterwards and discuss when this is done.
I do have my 2 bits about this whole sound check.
Yes, please.
Time as such is I don't do many festivals, but what happens is why this 2 hour sound check thing has been put in, at least from my perspective. And initially, I think even when Fali and I had made our first pro rider, so to speak, was because most of the times the equipment that we were getting across vendors wasn't consistent. Like today we would get DSS DIs, tomorrow we may get radial DIs, and so the gain structure would change. So that had to be sorted out most of the times. And I am not going to blame the vendor for it or anything, but due to circumstances, the vendor wouldn't be ready by the time the band would arrive for sound check. He would still be patching the last few channels, or he would still be patching the auxes.
And
And
still sweating.
yeah, and also this stems from a time when we had to do a lot of troubleshooting. Now things are more professional. Like we've moved away from the whole snake thing now to cat fives and stuff like that. But at that time, if you guys remember, we used to have to do a lot of troubleshooting. Lines wouldn't work, patch cables wouldn't work. Phonos, keyboard connections, invariably would not, or they would be patched differently from what we would require. So I think most of the sound check time was spent just troubleshooting, and the band actually would just take the last half an hour to sound check,
Exactly.
and we would just be troubleshooting for 1.5 hours. So I think that's where this whole 2 hour thing or 2.5 hour thing stems from. Now I think in 2020 as such, I don't think we require it because most of the vendors have become extremely hip and pro towards this entire scenario. And I am encountering this situation less and less, and in fact, very rarely these days now, where we have to, go into this whole troubleshooting and these lines are not working or those lines are not working. But still, at the same time, our problems are that a 58, I would take an example of a 58, will be working in a different manner with a particular vendor and will be working in a different manner with another vendor. So again, you may have to do processing on that. So that also takes in a little bit of a time, and that's why I feel that the 2 hour buffer is there. Even though every time the event guy asks me, I do tell him, no, we'll be done in 45 minutes. We just need the buffer for all these extra, things around it. Anyway, that's my
Right.
and
right.
we'll connect. What is this?
Telling you, we'll continue this meeting.
I pride myself on not ever changing tech rider which I have
No, sir,
forwarded
you
it
didn't.
to.
That's why I'm saying you didn't. Somebody
Yeah,
else did.
and I'll give you an example. Like whenever we go to the US or to Europe and we give them these tech riders, they don't budge. If I turn around and tell him, no, listen, 4 channels have got this thing and 5 have got this thing, he'll put his hands up and he say, listen, I have it on email. This is your patch list. I patched it. Now, if you want to change, you feel free. Or if it's a union thing, then forget it. This is the way you have to work. If we walk into some auditoriums or something. So,
Sir, वैसे having said that, don't you guys feel we should have some kind of a union for engineers in India?
Let's
as
start with
everybody
a union
trying,
for rental companies first. I think that is more important.
Sir,
No,
Fali sir, that's coming in.
that's
It's coming in
happening.
slowly.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
know,
that's
but
happening.
it's about time. And once, uh, this whole scenario that we find ourselves in, from I'd say engineers and musicians not so much, because if we are freelance, to an extent everything is taken care of. But when you think of the event rental companies, and in turn with from the manufacturer side, I think just getting this, the business basically unionized to an extent where it ensures advances, ensures payments, ensures work hours, will make a big difference to everyone else down the chain. Because I think the biggest, I'd say, misconception about this business is that, oh, these guys are from Bollywood, everyone earns a lot. I think that is the biggest misconception that everyone has. It is, forget about us. Now think of everyone that's setting up the stage, everyone that's building the truss, everyone that's putting up the lights, everyone that's doing your patching on stage. To do a concert for a bigger concert you do requires a bigger army of people to set up the show. and until like this stuff is sorted out, which I think can only come together once all the vendors, and can't be the big vendors or small vendors, it has to be everyone,
All.
whether you have 2 speakers or you have 200,000 speakers, everyone has to come under the same umbrella, similar to the rules as far as a union
Can
goes
you
when
switch to
you're
a different Wi-Fi?
similar to like what the rules are that you have abroad, and they're so strict over there because it's like uh, I've been in situations where they won't even move a riser for you. Maybe if you say please, they'll move it. So it's and here it's expected. Or if I tell you to do this, it has to be done. I, at least from mine, when it comes to this patching stuff, very often there's a thing, oh, can we move these guys from here to there, and this is 2 hours before the show, and my answer is absolutely not.
And Fali, I'd add to that because you have sent a tech writer. When we talk about it, oh, that was the old tech writer we sent you. Manager must have sent it to you. No, we have changed the lineup. It is never updated. Most of the tech writers are never updated.
No.
So
That's all. It's just, that's one whole part of it, and the other whole part of it is that, when you, I think the sound engineers union, for an extent, is not really so required. What is required more before anything else is the association for vendors, because I think that will sort out a lot of things when it comes to this business, and basically to make sure that everyone is to an extent taken care of. You guys are not setting up at 5 in the morning, or not working on the job for 3-4 days straight. And it's all, this part needs to be sorted out first.
Sir, just adding something in between, I came across this organized the NGO called Anhad. I think,
Ashish.
sir, yeah, are you associated with this? You are a part of this? Because I saw it on your page.
Oh, me? You're talking about me?
Yeah, Ashish, sir.
I'm not associated with it, but they definitely approached me to help them and
Okay.
support them and to spread the word around.
Hmm.
And I think it's a great initiative from their end because everybody's just talking about musicians and other people, but nobody's really looking at all the support stuff and all the stage guys, the stage hands, and all the tech people that are involved. So definitely, I think it's a great initiative from their end. So we are trying to promote it as much as possible, so that as many people can get help from it. Will be great. I have on Facebook, I have a lot of people approaching me who are like, I hear so many of them narrating that it really breaks my heart. There are people in small towns who are like, they're suffering. Those guys, they literally have no work, and so say we sit here and we talk about going online and we talk about all these things and all, but they don't have access to that also. They're just at home. Their poor guys are just at home. They literally have no work except to maybe sit out on the chabutra and talk to their friends, and otherwise they are really doing nothing. So I feel that we should definitely help these guys, and I'm very happy to support Anahat for this year.
So just for basic knowledge, because when I read this, I felt like contributing and promoting this. So just off the top, how are people registering for this? People who need help, they have to register for something on this, or
Yes. So basically, if you see my post underneath, I've given a thing where you call them and then they will take your details down. They will see whether you're working with a company or not, whether you're a daily wager, whether you're a freelancer. So all those criterias are mentioned,
okay,
and that's how they are. That's how they are basically going to do the categories of help. And I think their first initial lot is to try and reach around 10 lakhs, and then they would start distributing these funds out to people. So obviously they're also going to grab your bank details and everything. So that's how they're going about it. You can read about the whole thing.
No, I will, sir. I will. I thought I'll just ask whether you were directly associated with it or just
I'm not. Yeah,
promoting
I'm
it.
not directly associated, but yes, they've been asking me to, support them. I think a couple of panel discussions may happen in a week or so, so they've invited me for those also.
Very noble.
Okay.
Very noble.
Okay.
The thing is, from we were approached for the same thing because, like Ashish said, people reach out on the social media platforms, and it's like, At the end of the day, it's uh, you have to help. There's no question about that. If you have the means to help, you should be helping. There's no question about it. So whether it is a small amount here or there, it's not going to make anyone any poorer. But it'll make a big difference for the people on the other end. So, and if you really take this scenario take it seriously, we don't honestly see anything happening before 2021. We are only in July. There's 6 more months of the year to go. How are you going to manage with how are these people going to manage? So it's not something to be taken lightly from the point of view of we will be the last industry backup. There is no question about it. Back up and running like the way we were, very difficult at the moment. It's very difficult from everyone's perspective. I mean, from a manufacturer perspective, it's difficult. So, there are a lot of things. You just need to figure out basically how to make it work. And I think most important is if anyone is reaching out for help, this platform that's there, which I'm also part of, is definitely, you should not think of it as, oh, if I register, then what are people going to think? The moment you think, what are people going to think? That's the first mistake. Just register, and then, we'll see what happens. But it's, for all the years that we've given headaches to sound rental companies or lighting or video rental companies, I think it's now our turn to give back and to help. No question
I
about
think
it.
it's a wonderful initiative, sir.
Definitely.
I'm so glad something like this has come up for the people who really deserve the money.
Actually, another thing which somebody who's not directly into the events industry, I don't think a lot of people are able to actually fathom the amount of support staff which goes into even a medium level in event.
No. Because when you see an event, you see the musicians and you see the artist. You don't
Precisely.
see anyone else.
Precisely. You don't see the behind the scenes
You
with
don't
the
see
number
anything
of
else.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm saying
So
even a medium scale, forget about, and it really, you really, even being directly or indirectly connected, like you said, Fali, even as a manufacturer and stuff, till you don't go for shows and you don't see, when you don't see the amount of hard work which goes behind it, the number of people, it's, I mean, large shows, of course, it's a different scale. I'm saying even medium ones, yeah. So no, it's really a great. We all must kind of give back to wherever we can at this time. This is
Yes,
extraordinary
absolutely,
situation.
absolutely.
I mean, we cannot just be expecting the government to do it. Somewhere we are all thinking, government kya kar rahi hai? But government, I guess,
the
are
government is not going to do it. It's not
yeah,
going to. It is not their problem. It is a problem that's to an extent created by the way we do the business. That's what it is. And fortunately, or more unfortunately, then when we are in a situation like this, we find ourselves in this kind of situation. So it's, whatever needs to be done can be done. Even from a manufacturer's point of view, for all the, you know, uh, vast amount of purchases that everyone's made from manufacturers, this is the time to figure out a way to give back from our side. We've been doing something like that on a smaller scale, but it's something that has to be done. There's no question.
And many freelancers don't even qualify for a loan, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually with the banks and all, it's a big problem if you
Very
are,
big.
say, associated, with
Industry.
this line.
Entertainment
And
industry,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that.
yeah, entertainment industry means, oh, you're no,
You're no
My
good.
wife, college, my wife is working in a college. Yeah, she's the
yeah,
borrower. I'm the co-borrower.
Yeah.
That's how I got my house.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I know we're going quite off topic, but I think for anyone that's joining or watches this later, I think as industry professionals, we need to safeguard yourself not only now but for the future.
Yeah.
So, what if you cannot work anymore? What is your next plan? What is your fallback plan? It has to be. You have to give a realistic thought to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
well said.
So coming back to the
From the union, coming back to this whole thing from a union point of view, what I am actually interested is because this pandemic has sort of taught us a lesson regarding finances, So what I would like is like if we can start some kind of an association where whoever joins in has to compulsorily do some kind of a PF and do some kind of an insurance, you know, just so that when these kind of scenarios come again, maybe, or if he's laid off, or if he's hurt or injured or something, then those those things can come into play. I am not interested more in a union kind of thing where you draw your clout and try and use that for something. But I would take it more from these kind of
Yeah.
factors where we can help ourselves
Absolutely.
in these
Absolutely.
kind of things. Is that's
Okay. Yeah. Become financially smart, make these right decisions at the time when you're earning the money, like where to invest it, how to invest it,
exactly
make
exactly.
yourself future proof. And like a lot of that comes from, I have nice story of a good friend of mine who used to mix monitors for Snoop Dogg. And American guy and part of the union in the US, insured by the union. He had a 3-year-old daughter when he passed away in a road accident. Okay, now the
Oh,
union secured, I think it was in the range of $6 or $7 million to be given for the family, and to be part of the young girl's education. Now, if something like that happens to anyone from the business over here, we don't even have that provision. And this is the union people taking care of the union people. So it's a it's definitely part of it is to it will be to use clout and whatever, but the other part, which is the more important part, is to take care of your people, to take care of the people that are part of your union. That is the bigger make sure everyone has their lunch break, make sure they get time for breakfast, make sure they get their sleep, make sure they're not overworked, make sure the insurance is there. It's all getting all that kind of stuff really, really proper.
Also, I
I
think
know
I've
this.
sir, Fali sir, we've stopped learning from examples. I mean, I'll give you a small example about Roger's uncle. Roger uncle had a very basic concept from years, not from today. From ever since I've known him, the labor who loads in is different to the labor who loads out. Everybody gets rest. Everybody's fine. They're not overworked. It's a system. I don't know of anybody else maybe they are, but I don't know of anybody who follows the system. It's a very basic small thing.
Quite a few people do. They have like different loading staff and different. So there's a loading staff at the office, then there's a separate offloading staff at the venue, and they will reload at the venue. And when it comes back to the warehouse, the separate staff is there. But it's. I think a lot of people have taken that away from, or learned that from, like the older generation large companies. And not I'm saying Rogers an older generation. I think he's one of the smartest when it comes to doing business that way. He's an incredible entrepreneur and business guy. There's no question about that.
We should learn from people like him.
Yeah,
So, if I may, I have a question for Aseem.
Our youngest member.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought this was a free masterclass for me. Come on. This is a free masterclass for me.
You're not getting spared, Aseem.
I was so comfortable enjoying this, listening.
All right. Before I say that, I like your T-shirt.
Thanks, man.
Nice. So we've got you in a scenario where you have been in the limelight on the stage, and also you are an engineer behind the scenes. What inspires and drives you while mixing for other live artists, and what is your suggestion for the upcoming engineers?
Okay. I'm going to twist your question and answer it back. Because when I began my work after graduating from my school in London, that was 2012. And I was never in one spot to have one artist to work with. So I was working with bunch of artists then. As my years went through, probably in 2017 is when I realized that I am not liking that person there can't sing to the pitch. And I'm sitting here and I'm getting frustrated about it. that frustration led me to realize one thing, that if I didn't have to be here, my purpose was over here. I have to think about what can come up after this. So I was constantly like looking for people who brought some kind of knowledge, though they were not meant to impart any knowledge. But it's just that give and take that kept happening in between, like talking to some really good people, like renowned people from the industry, just getting that 5 minute of a conversation just before a sound check at a festival or could be at an airport has made me realize what I am good with, or rather what I am good at doing. So from multiple artists every year, it dropped to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now the one artist that I work with is Shalini, because we have a very good connection as artists before anything else. So it's always that I'm an integral part. I get asked basic feedback about the musicality of the show more than the technical aspect, because our monitor engineer Lee is way more experienced. Like I think all these guys are as experienced as my age is today. So when something like that happens, I just let the seniority, like rather the whole bunch take the main decisions. Wherein when it comes to musicality, I contribute a little bit, telling them maybe this can change. That's all a perspective that I get from outside. Now coming to the singing bit, this is the best workout for me, because I go in first at the venue, check the PA, get the band sound checked, and I'm someone exactly opposite of him, because now with a dual responsibility, I can't let the sound check time being less affect my show in a way. I need those whatever 60, 62 channels that we use for the show laid down, at least the basic high pass laid down, the channels labeled, so that I'm not wasting any more time. And that's only because I'm supposed to mute the PA, go on stage, sound check myself. Every venue is different. Sometimes at ballrooms, now I know when I used to tell a musician how hard it is for them to understand it in one go. We expect them to like just get it. Yo, like do this. Oh no, well, like my first sound check, I remember how I had nothing in my mind, and Anupam Roy was mixing monitors for us that day. He just comfortably walked me towards the side of the stage. He's like, bro, you've been doing this for ever. Just let it go. Don't think a lot. And I think that one advice from him has helped me just be very comfortable with that whole dual responsibility. So then I mute the PA, Lee comes to the console, unmutes the PA. So none of the in-ear mixes change. And during the show is my entry time is somewhere around 13, 14 minutes into the show. So I leave, I have a cue track. I finish that last mix. Lee comes to the console. I go to onto the stage near the monitor console where my in-ears are kept. And those are the 10 minutes that I want to be at the monitor console, wherein just to make sure no one else needs anything else. Or like I myself might need a fix to my own in-ear mix. Maybe I'm not hearing something well. So knowing a bit of both worlds is so important now, I feel. And like, the knowledge just doesn't stop there. It's like every show you get to learn something new in a very new way from whoever, like might be someone who's 30 years into the scene, or might be someone who's 30 days into the scene. But the thing is, I never stopped that learning in whichever form it came. So I think now it's to that one artist that I do everything with and for. It's mainly like I've always wanted to work with an artist, not for the artist. It's like I'm equally a contributor to this whole thing, and we will bring in flavor to this whole show together. So it's that with, not for, that works with me. Like,
with, not for.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. So you suggest upcoming artists also to learn a little bit of engineering.
It is absolutely required for every musician, whether you're in the studio, whether you play live shows, to know the 101, the basic nature of sound and music theory for musicians and ear training. Man, that listening to 1 kilohertz has helped me so much in life that at a show, when I'm mixing a song here at the studio, if there is a client that's probably sitting next to me and hearing me fix frequencies, they're like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, that just is so clear now. And it's just like hearing the 1K sine tone, I can still whistle it back anytime. I'm just sleeping, I wake up, hey, can you whistle like a C major, for example, like the first note on the keyboard? It's as it's as straightforward as for me for that. Like, I just wake up, I know how to whistle a 1K sine tone. So any feedback that comes, I've become very like intrigued by trying to tap into a frequency that I just heard somewhere. Like maybe it could be the door getting banged and the door handle knob blasting out. What's that frequency? So I keep doing this with all my friends. I've grown up in a setting when I've studied in London where all of us used to do this to each other. Like just whistle, yo, what's this frequency? Like it just trains and that's what you get for during sound checks, right? No one's actually saying that the frequency is talking during the sound check. It's like, hey, I'm out there. Can you hear me? It's like that, right? So just telling yourself that this is lower than 1K or above 1K. Yeah, that's basic for me. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sorry, Moshe, I'm just going to add something to that. When musicians do not know basics of sound, the general replies or the general comments you get are, यार ये अच्छा तो है पर इसको गोल कर दो, थोड़ा गोल बना दो इसको.
Goal.
So this is a common thing that tabla players of India would say, and I'm sure Ashish sir and Nitin sir might relate. I'm sure everybody will relate to this. When I've heard this multiple times, कि इसको गोल बना दो. गोल कैसे बनता है ये नहीं समझ आया मुझे.
What that you need to? What is the?
I'm the host here. I think I'll let them answer.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. The whole thing is about trying to interpret what the musician is. What is he asking for is, I mean, part of half of the game of being a good engineer. So that truly is what's gonna. So this whole goal kar do, masala dal do, and all these kind of terminologies.
Sir, do you get that in the studio also, Ashish sir?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do that. We do get it in the studio. Also. This whole masala dal do is from the studio only. It basically means can you add a little more reverb and delay to my voice.
Okay.
So isko thoda western kar do, So basically they wanted to be sharpened a little bit and maybe not add so much reverb to it, so it becomes like a western voice. So that's these kind of so you have to figure out, this is a different language altogether which musicians talk in when they don't know and when they cannot be specific about what they want. I also have musicians on the other hand who will turn around and tell me ki, at 3.5K can you boost 1.5 dB? So I do encounter those kind of people also.
Ashish, on other side, I have also seen people who are saying low mid में 2K बढ़ाना. Low mid बढ़ाना 2K.
So Pramod Chandrokar is saying chamka do. Chamka do.
Correct.
Lovely.
Good. I think on the other side you have people, some of the Indian classical people who are very, very into their frequencies and stuff like that. Trilokbhai is one of them. Like, he has that. Yeah, he has that down to a science, like absolute science.
The first thing he'll say when he'll hear the kick is, get that nose out from the kick. Get that nose out from the kick.
Get the nose.
No, some of them are really good. Like Zakir Bhai is also pretty spot on, regarding these things. But few and far in between, I suppose.
So I'll just take some of the comments which have come. So I'll just read out some of the comments. Prabjeet Singh Khanna, he's saying, Camille, respected sir, good evening. Fali sir, good evening to you too. Yeah, so guys, please, even in the previous one when we had Mudit and all, he was asking for headphones. So whatever the story of headphones is, please. Camille, he's saying, Camille sir, where are my headphone, please? Are you guys taking his headphones or what?
He asked Mudit the same question in the Delhi wala version, and he's asked this again. So, what is the deal with the headphones? I don't know. Neither does he. So, Camille, your voice is gone.
That is the studio also, Ashish sir. Sometimes we do.
We've lost somebody's feed.
No, Camille, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. We are hearing somebody's
Facebook.
We're hearing somebody's Facebook again.
Yeah.
Camille,
Okay,
just try again, Baba. We can't hear you.
just disconnect and reconnect. Till then, I'll just read the others.
Need more coffee.
Can you?
Sorry, Camille, what? No, you're
we-
gone
We're
again.
gone.
Unless you're doing this on purpose.
So
He doesn't want to say anything about the headphones.
basically वही है. Yeah.
कहीं तो चुपके से म्यूट दबा रहा हूँ
नहीं,
नीचे
नहीं,
ऐसे we
नहीं,
won't be
नहीं.
able to see it.
So Prabjeet, you're not getting your headphones anytime soon. Basically, that's what I
It's
understand.
muted now. It's muted now.
Karthik,
Unmuted
can
now.
you see? No, he's not from our end. He's not.
But we can't hear you. We can't hear
Yeah,
you.
Camille, we can't hear you. Okay. Camille, so I'll just carry on. Did we get him back? No.
No.
Okay.
I will
So
go into-
Rahul Dalvi saying, Piyush Roy saying, all living legends on one screen today. Thank you, CELTO Acoustic India. Thank you. Yes, Piyush. All of them are living legends, definitely. Bharat Bajaj is saying hello all. Hi, Bharat. Jai Simbai Yadav Soma. Nice said Aseem, sir. Okay. Ayush is watching. Ashish is watching. Piyush. I think Anuradha Joshi, ma'am, that's, I think...
Aseem's
That's
grandmother.
my mom.
Your
That's
mom.
my mom.
Very
Yeah, that's my
happy to
mom.
see-
Aseem's grand.
Very happy to see my son Nitin and grandson Aseem together sharing one platform. Very informative and helpful discussion for newcomers. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Pramod Tendrukar is saying, hey guys.
Check.
Piyush is saying hi to all. Hi. Ashish Chaube is saying hi everyone. Hi Ashish. Pramod Tendrukar again saying awesome Aseem. Very well said Aseem. Chamkado I already read out. Everybody has their own language. Yes. Vernon Furtado is saying well spoken Aseem.
So Aseem is the star over here and he's
Yes.
missing.
He's very Pramod is saying very half knowledge is dangerous.
He's gone to make another set of coffee.
Another coffee.
So,
okay.
Siddharth, Mr. Pramod Chandorkar is from Sound Ideas Academy, which
Okay.
Nitin, when he moved to Pune, Nitin, am I right that you joined? It's a,
We had a studio together in Pune.
Yes,
I was
yes.
handling the studio. It was in Pramod's house. I moved from Nagpur. Like, basically, the story is
correct.
when we are setting up the studio at Nagpur, I used to often come to Bombay, and there was one jingle we were doing, and I went to Radio Vani, where Pramod had joined like 1.5 months back. We had a cigarette together, and that's where it clicked. So then on, like he came to Nagpur, helped me set up my studio at Nagpur. And then after 6 years, when he had a place and he wanted to set up a studio, I came from Nagpur along with my partner Anand Kurekar and started a studio here.
Okay.
Nitin sir, what was in that cigarette?
भाई साहब nicotine only.
इसके बाद
अच्छा, okay. इसके बाद
वो भी छोड़ के
Sugar,
no,
phantom, sir.
वो भी छोड़ के अभी 10 साल हो गए मेरे को.
अच्छा. By any chance in Pune, did you know anybody by the name of Praveen Joshi who had a studio who in
Yeah.
huh?
Yes.
Because in my Pune days
No, he writes well. He composes also. He was engineer also. Everything he did.
in my days when we used to be in Pune and supplying equipment, I had supplied him speakers for this studio in maybe 2000 something. I don't remember. Praveen, I don't remember his studio name, but for not monetary mixing, but for post production mixing.
Aseem is back, so I'll tell him that you're the
he's
star.
got a fan following on Facebook.
Following on Facebook. There's a lot of
Fan
people
following.
saying, yeah.
From where?
All the girls are messaging over here for you.
Hi.
We're all jealous.
Like all our
Nothing like
other
that.
old people.
It's all the noise outside. It's all the noise outside.
It's all
just the
Aseem's
noise
charm.
It's just the noise outside.
Camille, we have you back. We can hear you now.
Camille, you
I
want
finally
an
have
iPhone
a
story?
fresh cup of coffee now. So
Yeah, the story behind Mr. Prabjeet's statements are that he wants a new pair of Technic headphones, which I was supposed to source for him. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to yet, and we hit the lockdown. So obviously, till that's done, that sourcing is not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay.
Amazon for him?
Amazon.com, yeah, but then getting it down, they're not delivering to India. That was a problem.
Achha, you wanted
So you can have a Zoom meeting with him and sort that out.
Please.
I'll do that.
Gaurav Gupta is saying, hi everyone. So good to see and hear you after so long. Yes, Gaurav. This is, I guess, the new normal for some time now. So we will be seeing and meeting everybody like this.
Moshe, all
Moshe,
yours.
Do we have anything else? Yogesh, Siddharth?
I'm just happy to meet everyone, man.
Yes.
Sonali
So,
Joshi has written, very happy to see all, especially Nitin and Aseem, together on one platform.
yeah.
That's my wife.
This is the first time. This is the first time ever, guys.
Wow.
First time ever.
Okay.
Wow, very good.
You guys made it happen. You guys made it happen.
Superb.
So, and let's be, why don't Moshe, because we needed 6 screens. So I think you because if we had 7, it would have become a odd number. So Moshe, I think, requested you to come with
Yes.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was only logical, right? Because we
Yeah,
live
it
in the
was
same
logical.
lane.
Same lane.
So
Acha, same
yeah.
lane also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
we used to live in the same society back in the day. Then he moved to this new house, which
The
is in
same
the
lane.
same lane.
So it's his fault.
So another thing for all our viewers who don't maybe know, most of I mean, Fali is from Pune. Nitin, Aseem are in Pune right now. Moshe is from Pune. I have lived in Pune for 8 years, where I started doing
Ashish
business.
is half Punekar.
Ashish is half, right? So,
So
we
now,
have
The Western
guys,
region is represented by Pune.
guys,
Pune.
Yes.
are we going to take off on the Marathi version now for a
No.
bit?
No.
Just for Yogesh.
Because I'm purely from Delhi and you're purely from Bombay.
No, it's just a language thing.
Okay.
Are you from Goa?
Huh?
Who is from Goa?
Camille, you're from Goa, no?
No. My wife is from Goa. I'm from Kerala.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are you doing in Bombay, man?
Even
Hey, now what to do, man?
even Pramoji is saying I'm in Pune right now, so he's also Punekar.
Arre wah.
Pramoji has a
Thumbs up,
question.
sir.
Aseem, what difference do you see when you work with several artists and vendors than what you learned in UK?
Well, it's a cultural shock when you come to the country. That's what it is.
Which
I
which
went
country,
out.
UK or India?
No, it's either way is the same, right?
When you go there, it's a shock. When you
Basically,
come back again, it's
so
shock.
for me,
Reverse culture.
I've grown up looking at him work in the studio when I was a kid, and I didn't understand anything, like anything. And I've always been that notorious guy who will not pay attention when it's supposed to be that way. So
He comes with me for a live gig, Pentagram playing in HRC,
yeah,
and exactly at the time of sound check, he goes out to smoke. And he gets a blasting after coming back. So why are you here? You're here to do
Yeah.
party?
So
what is it?
my
Yeah.
attention span was really less because like beginning when I went there, it was like I was just a musician who was trying to be an engineer. And I did so many different courses there, and I came back and I was taught live sound a certain way because I got to work with people from Abbey Road Studios and even Brit Row Productions. So when you work even as a shadowing engineer for someone like Brit Row, you're not if you don't even have your Leatherman and your head torch, you are not allowed to enter the concert venue. So these are like the basic things. When I moved back to the country, it was just very different. And like I was told this by him. I was like grilled that when I was supposed to go for my first show, I was just running it by him that I've written this on the Tech Rider and stuff. So he's like, you know what? You're not going to get any of it. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I mean, chances are like less than 10% is what you're going to get. So it was a big shock for me when I came back, but it didn't take a lot of time. It just made me realize that I have to be one of them to know what it is to be here. Like how I went there, I started working the way they work there. So it's only about keeping yourself flexible and like where you need to do a certain thing, you've got to just do it. So I think it's just the way different worlds are working in their own countries and like in their own regions. But if you are someone who's flexible, I don't think there's a problem working anywhere again. Like, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for all the freelance engineers. I mean, is it okay
Yeah.
to ask?
Yeah,
Yeah, please.
So this thought has been developing in my head, which I would like to ask you guys is like how artists are signed up with management companies. Do you think it's time now for freelance engineers also to do something like that?
Man, I got an offer for something like that and I had to turn it down because the management company I thought was being too greedy. So it started with, you know, it started with whatever future work we bring you, we get a cut out of that, which is fair. And then it went to, oh, any and every work. So I was like, what does that mean? Which means any work now onwards or whatever you already have. It was quite a large percentage. I was like, what are you really going to do for, how are you going to make it better? And one of the answers I got is like, yeah, we'll take care of the accounting. And I was like, okay, there is an accountant for that. What else are
Yeah.
you going to do? Oh, we'll make sure the payments come on time. I said, that is quite sorted. I really don't have to worry about that mostly. I mean, it's not such a big deal. So I think it was stuck. It's an interesting thing, but it got stuck over there. And then when I inquired, like, okay, would you uh, make it kind of so that it brings in work that I have not personally thought about and different avenues? Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Once you're signed on, then we can see about that. So it wasn't very clear from my point of view. No, I mean, at that time, this was and not too long back. This was late last year, actually, early last year, actually.
Rashi is asking about signing up with an artist or a management team.
Management.
No, with a management
Management
company to get
company.
you more
I
gigs,
think
basically.
personally it's a very good thing to have. Honestly, like what Ashish said right now, because just think about it, everyone these days has a fixed band that they are traveling with. But sometimes, like some senior guys like you guys are working with multiple people. So taking that into perspective, like say Ashish today has a show with Shankar Sarla. Tomorrow, you have another show which is clashing with someone, but then a roster of say like people who can actually fill in for you through a talent company or through an event company or an agency can be done. But none of these agencies would not, I mean, they will work on a certain percentage cut that they will take for the other person to get that show instead of someone else.
So that we are doing on personal level because
Yeah.
Fali has done that many times.
Yeah.
Whenever
Sure.
he was not available and he's
No, I mean, I'm
called me
saying like
straight up.
an agency that looks into these
So
things.
but then the complications start. The third person coming in deciding who goes for that gig, and it's a
Yeah,
different
like
thing.
that's the only drawback per se.
And the percentages going in.
Percentages, yeah.
And then the terms and conditions coming into picture. Which are
I think
unnecessary.
it works. It works on a scale like I mean, a lot of these Brits and Americans that mix broadcast and mix feature films. A lot of them are represented. Like it's very difficult to get to them directly. You have to go through their representation
They
for
are,
that.
yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Actually,
mean,
quite a few of those freelance mixers
yeah,
also are represented, like
yeah,
all
Something
the top
similar.
studio mixers, basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
Most of
Ashish,
them.
something similar to what you just said was with, I remember years back when Blue Frog was still Blue Frog, Fali had attempted this to get a whole bunch of engineers together, share work. As we just mentioned, overlap of gigs would happen. I know for a fact he has tried very hard to do that. You yourself, Shantanu, Vijay, Benigal, and many others that are there even today as engineers have tried to get the fraternity together. Now, the only difference is that you're talking about getting a management company to do that. It's sensible. The economics matter in a big way, as Fali just shared what that would be a possibility. Um, uh, yes, as you also share the international engineers that you are in broadcast and in certain fraternities in UK and US, you cannot get through to them even if you send them a direct email. You will not get a direct reply. It will be the management replying to you or something like that. So these things have been attempted in the past. I guess our fraternity doesn't have a representation in the larger scheme of things. ISA is one thing that's happened for the vendor, then slowly growing. I guess that will then escalate to newer forms as we are already in half of a new normal. Way forward from here is to look at something like what you shared, how that works in the global perspective of everybody's opinions. I think what Nitin mentioned is, yeah, it complicates fees and commissions and all. If there was a standard bracket of saying, okay, this is what everybody would take home as a base
No,
package.
I'm not interested in that because
I'll tell you why
today
I'm saying.
So that is
what you would
dynamic. You know,
be charging for a show will be vastly different to what I
No,
would be
no, I'm
charging
not. I'm not saying. I'm not
for
saying
the
that.
same thing.
I'm not saying you define or body defines how much you charge. That's different. There's a base. For example, I know a friend of mine working in the UK was just an appearance substitute engineer who was called in, but was the gig was cancelled about 8 days, and the gig happened without him, where the original engineer was there. He called in to say, man, is it okay if I attend the gig? They happened to be, he went for the gig. Just his presence there in the room defined that he get paid. That means he got the lowest pay packet as an attendance fee of sorts, which is like, yeah, it's in a way that could also work for somebody who's a brand new engineer. Where do I start to charge? I have had that question in my early days as to if, as a freelancer, how much do I charge? I mean, where does it start? Where does it end? Where is it right? Where is it wrong? Frankly, I've never got those answers till much later in my life. So yes, it is what you're saying makes sense in a broader scheme of things. In the longer term, how things go forward when unions form and bodies form, associations form, yes, it will definitely help many of us, not just now, even the future generations. But how it has worked out economically is a big question.
Pramod Chandrokar is saying most of the artists get their work on their name. Managers manage them, but behave as if they get the work, especially in India.
Correct.
That is true. I think that
that
is
is true.
And he's
That's
saying,
true.
as it
that
is, we
is
get
quite
peanuts.
true.
No question. No question about that.
Except maybe for the smaller artists which may be signed up, so they, because
And
I do keep coming
promoted,
across,
pushed.
yeah, show reels, email to me, regarding some, and it's not just music, it's also comics or even even a presenter or uh, you know a compare basically. So I think those kind of people are definitely promoted by the talent management company that they may have
Yeah.
signed up with, uh, for sure, as far as the bigger artists are concerned, and I'm sure this must be the same thing abroad also. I mean, imagine you are not going to go around promoting a Beyonce or a U2. I'm sure they must be getting shows on their own strength. So it's the same thing for us here also. But I think it's more to do with how professionally you're managed. If you sign up with a proper, management company as opposed to uh, at the same time, for one of my artists, KK, I mean, I have a manager who's really fantastic. I mean, Nitin will, I think, vouch for it that Hitesh is one of the best, very professional, managers around who's got everything in order and perfectly done.
Not here. You can't be.
But that's what I feel that it's not more of a question of getting the gig; it's more a question of being professionally managed.
I have a question
For
after you. After Ashish.
I'm done. I'm done.
I have a question from choice of in-ears to choice of PAs. Uh, Leaving the budget aside, I know budget defines many things, but in a situation like, say, a curated festival, that if there's in the aspect of a new concept, how would you decide uh, you go with the top five brands? So let me name them for you. You have L Acoustics, you have DNB, you have Function One, you have Martin Audio, you have another. There's a whole list we can go with. When you are deciding on a rider, um, why and how do you guys? I've always wanted to ask this question also. How do you guys decide that okay, I'm only going to work with these top five brands or speaker companies or manufacturing companies, or be it Shure, be it Sennheiser for mics and in-ear systems and so on and so forth? Because today we are fighting against the Chinese models across the world for whatever reasons, but few of us can recognize the difference between an original brand and a duplicate. How do you guys manage to find that midway where you actually define the path. Yes, working with an artist like a Rahman and a SEL and an Amit Trivedi, etc., defines that you get the best quality. But if you're doing a festival sort of thing, and these are like NH7 has had these big names also, then how do you agree to work on a JBL or L Acoustics or AC or so on and so forth? Fali has done quite a few festivals also, so can you please shed some light? I'd like to know.
Mate, with me, it's
I
very. Go,
just
Ashish.
before Ali answers,
Hmm.
I have a simple thing by hearing them. I have defined the PAs that I would like to work with is just by hearing a bunch of PAs and then deciding, okay, I like this the best.
Hmm.
Notwithstanding the flexible factors involved of setting up and how well the setup was done or how well, it's just basically the voicing of the PA is what sort of drives me to a particular brand as such. And it's the same thing with everything else. It's just by hearing it. I mean, if I like this tone of a SM58 or I like the tone of a Sennheiser, 945 or actually I don't really like the 945 that much as I like the bigger model called the 5235. So it's just what I'm hearing and what's driving me towards these elements. That's it. Sorry,
But
please.
again, I'll come on this, Camille.
Hmm.
Very few times you get an opportunity to decide what is coming in a festival situation. For example, on NH7, the talk is already on with vendors and budgets and everything is done, and whoever is providing, he's going to provide X set for stage number 1. Stage 2, it is more defined by the artists who are coming. If it's a foreign artist coming, then as per his tech rider, the thing is set up. In a smaller stage, you'll get a different vendor. So, it's all driven by the budget and which artist is performing.
Hmm.
So you hardly get a chance to decide what kind of PA. You can't in a festival situation say this. Very few times it might happen if you're part of that whole festival from the start.
Hmm.
Otherwise, in a classical situation, so give me whatever you have, give me boxes, I'll try and get good sound out of it. It's like that.
Right. Fali?
I'm honestly not very choosy at all about that stuff. I'd rather have a hassle-free show. So I usually end up picking crew over equipment. Hi. Say hi to everyone. You
Hello.
also come. Say hi.
Hello.
So,
So I mean, we've been in situations when we were abroad, and there was a choice. I remember a time in New Zealand whether we go with a 20-year-old VDOS PA or we ship something in from ship a latest generation DNB from Australia. And after doing some question and answer with L Acoustics directly, like these guys are from New Zealand, how it's like, man, you will probably not hear an L Acoustic system like you've heard with them. How's the crew is fantastic. So that sways us. I mean, why should we pressure the client into spending thousands of dollars to ship cross countries? So, and that's to an extent here also. It's there are some people that we just refuse to work with, and it's not because of the lack of gear. It's just that it's a headache every time we do, and the few times that we've done it, we've paid the price quite badly. And at the end of the day, I think it's we represent the artist,
Yeah.
and I personally don't want to take a chance like that. And it's happened that things in the past have changed, and now those same vendors are great, and now like we have no problem. So it's sometimes less and less about the equipment,
It's about the people.
but
I
it's
agree. Absolutely.
it's the service first.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a nice thing to know because as we all
I agree totally. Yeah.
as we all totally rely on our teams, so it's basically the human connect with the brands that you work with. I guess brands doesn't matter what you have. Yeah, in certain situations you will not go below, which is perfectly right. So yeah, thank you for that, man.
Like right at the
Right.
top, it's barely much of a difference between the various brands that you've listed, like DNB,
I agree.
Acoustics, JBL.
Yeah,
It's
And
just
it's
how you
about not
set up.
just brands, how they're set up. It's very important to
Exactly.
know how they're set up.
Exactly.
The same brand might not sound the same way with some other vendor.
very true.
This
Very
is
true.
how it is.
Very
Yeah.
true. How
I
the
mean, you have a
equipment alone.
Bruce setting up a VDOS, you have Bruce setting up a K1, you have Bruce setting up a JBL. they all sound fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I
it
agree.
depends
Very
on.
true. I agree with that. I agree with that. On that, Moshe Vernon is saying, hope you all get to hear the ISORAS system from Celto. You're going to fall in love with it.
Yes,
So,
all
I've
of you
heard
are
it.
most
so
welcome.
yeah, Vernon, I think
Sure.
currently, with current scenario, unfortunately, all we can have do is this. But yeah, eventually we will get it across to
Yes.
everybody.
You can play the system through Zoom and we'll figure it out how is good, how good it is.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get into that.
No, I've been lucky enough to hear these guys that which was that speaker at the Hotel Fern, I think year before last.
Isore. Isore.
I saw
Oh,
it.
that's
Sorry,
right.
only.
This one.
That small box, man, it reminded me
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the.
yeah. Cam, this one
Uh,
right at the back.
okay. Oh yes, correct. That's the one. No wait, it's the open
It
one.
is, it
Open
is,
box.
it is, yeah.
Either. And that's why we have removed one of the grills also to show the waveguide and all.
It
Yeah, it's the
looks like
same
the
one.
one on top. From what I
Both they're
remember.
the same.
Yeah, this is minus the grill. One below is minus the grill.
Because all I remember is it reminded me of the demo which I had heard of Eloacoustics, the 5-inch boxes when they were launched at Andrews. It's the closest reference that I had for the ISO. Um,
Okay.
and I think what was it last year, Yogesh, where I had asked you, man, what's happening with the new system that was supposed to have come? Was that last year or year before last?
Last
Before, no,
palm.
the year before last.
No, last palm.
Okay.
In fact, our
I,
last
Or last
live video is
Jodhpur.
with the inventor of this system, Mr. APG. It's on Facebook.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Last Friday.
so Cam, the common, of course, you met Arthur. The common thing with there, I mean, Eloacoustic being French, Celto is also French, and both the guys behind it, Arthur and APG, they are of course hardcore French. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is about compact because Europe is all about making compact things and trying to get the maximum performance out of them. US is more out of bigger in terms of
Yeah.
PA and stuff.
But I
More.
think all that is changing now because the footprint, it basically efficiency that matters in today's time. I mean, all the engineers here today will agree. You
Yeah,
can
of
give
course.
me a system that is a two box and two bins aside. If it is as powerful and as required as an efficiency for that particular event, I will work with it. But if it is not up to the mark, I'm not going to work with it. I mean, that I agree because I remember there was one incident where I had it was a college festival in Raipur, I think, and we reached there for soundcheck at 12 o'clock. Soundcheck schedule at 2, and we were told at 12:30 that the tempo is not arriving before 3 o'clock. We're like, what do you mean? With great coaxing, they told us that the tempo loading and the stuff had an accident. So there was a 2-hour delay on arrival, which was supposed to be at 12:30, is why I had gone there early. The tempo didn't come till 3:34 in the evening, and the gates were opening at 6:30. But the team was so good. They loaded in the stuff behind stage. They arrived at around 3:45, 4. 5:15, the PA monitoring backline, everything was up, including lighting was going up, but we could start soundcheck at 5. I mean, we had 45 minutes. This is coming back to the time of how much time do you really need for soundcheck? Well, you can go with less amount of time provided things are and your crew is really good. It's very important to have a good crew.
Right. Actually, I think now, especially in this scenario, the whole thing is going to be about efficiency. Efficiency in every which way. We're all going to have to figure out how to do more with less because I think whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's whatever, efficiency is going to start mattering more and more because as we discussed even in a previous session when we had, manpower is going to be lesser, with all these new norms coming in.
Yeah.
And that's what, yeah. So yes, efficiency is all about it. This little box does what an industry standard dual 8-inch can do, 15 kgs, tiny little thing. So yes, we are hoping that we will have it across out to demo to you guys as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
We would like to your opinion on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Fali has just sent a message saying, "Be right back."
Right back.
Okay.
I think I guess we'll just wrap it up once he's back.
Yeah, I think I think we've been on for
Yes, it
2
has been
hours.
so interesting that we didn't realize that we've gone to almost 2
Yeah,
hours.
I know. I just
Energizing. I think very positive for people who. I mean, there are so many aspiring engineers who are watching this and who want to, look forward for 2021 now. But we are very positive that 2021 will start with a big bang.
let's hope so. Let's hope for the
Let's
best.
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, we all hope so. For me, it's a big deal because Ashish is somebody I have assisted in my studio days. So me to be on this panel with Ashish uh, today is a big deal. So
No.
much I have learned in my studio days, which I take to both worlds. It's not funny because I remember when I joined the Frog. Sorry, I'm rewinding back to the Frog. That was the longest I had so far as an experience. Cut to Octavis. I mean, Octavis, as a studio, you could barely get a drum kit into record. And then from Octavis to Cosmic, if you had one kick drum and one snare drum, that room was full. And then to Blue Frog, and you're doing a live instrument every day, which means I was a kit every day. For me, it was a big learning curve from not just the kind of microphones and the kind of artist. It was more about how that same instrument on that stage transformed in different hands. It was magic happening, which made me realize that man, music is so much more than just listening to on a pair of headphones. An instrument put in different people's hand can sound so much different. I'll never forget the first day I heard Gino play metal. And I'd never heard Gino play metal till that night, till that day. Then I was like, oh man, this is anything can happen.
And you must have also heard the same PM5D and the same set of speakers with different engineers.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's a whole different discussion. In fact, Aslam Khan, he very rightfully put it in one of the days he had come to mix Indiva at the Frog. He's like, man, we're just generally talking about PA, this, that, and work in general. He was like, one thing I don't like about our Indian fraternity. I said, what is it? I thought he's going to slam somebody very badly. He's like, you give the same stage to a foreign artist. They'll come do your sound check, 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, they're done. Each person is done in under 5 minutes and they're out. Our boys will go on stage. They will first set up and tune their instrument, then decide what songs to do, rehearse for the next 2 hours, cut to show time. During the show, second song is saying, ye kam karo, ye badao, ye hatao, ye
That
karo,
is
wo
exactly what I
karo.
said, yes.
Which is
Same happens
exactly
in a
what.
fusions.
Huh. I mean, that fusion it happens even in a five-piece regular rock band also. And unfortunately or fortunately, that's a scenario. So I mean, I was to what he said then, and then when I sat back and refreshed a lot of things, I like, man, this is so true. Now it makes sense why there's such a big difference. Yeah.
But I like the sound at Frog. I mixed one gig, I think, with Gino and Loy and all.
Yes, I remember.
So yeah, I quite liked it.
This was that Gino Loy, Ehsan, Dom was singing. Was that the one?
No. This was Gino Loy, that Alvarez guy. I forget his
Joe.
name.
Joe Alvarez.
Joe Alvarez.
Joe Alvarez. Floyd was playing guitar.
Ah.
Sheldon was playing bass. So one of those.
I to take that. I remember there's one gig. I think Dom had sang, and
That was at Faces in the Dark. I
correct.
mixed those at Shisha and some Chinese joint in town. I forget the name. Yeah.
That was one of the
Getting
best.
old, Ashish. You must ride more. Ashish, you must ride more to get younger.
We should all ride once this thing is done, man.
Nitin sir, yesterday I bought a bicycle.
Oh, okay, very good.
Wow.
Because I
That's
bought a
damn good.
bike. I
That's
bought a
damn
bike year and a half back, and in Delhi, where I didn't take it out for a year. I think I rode it 100 kilometers. Finally, I said I'm not going back to biking days, at least in Delhi. So yesterday I was like, kind of okay. Let me try cycling. So I don't know if it's no, it won't be visible on this.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Biker in a mask.
Yeah. In Delhi, you have to wear a mask. It's actually I don't know about other cities, but in Delhi you can't go. Technically, you're not supposed to go out without the mask also.
Same here.
Mask
I
is-
think this
No,
was there
that's
before the
right.
pandemic also.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
yeah.
of the pollution also, you have to wear a
Yeah,
mask.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Like-
mask is from the pollution days only. When in Delhi,
Mine also.
in Delhi we've had pollution. When it wasn't pollution, we had. So it's yeah.
Yeah.
But
Pune, the air is very good right now, and I can see Eiffel Tower from here now.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Clean.
Clean.
talking about Eiffel Tower, when I was in Pune, I used to live in Bibbewadi. I was on a hill. It was Hill Rock Society in Bibbewadi. It was on a hill. Moshe,
Yes.
you didn't know me then.
But we had gone there
Would
once.
you believe it? Because of the height, I was catching Bombay FM from there. I'd put a TV antenna. Okay, at that time we didn't have all this internet shit. I'm talking about 90s. In my flat, I was catching Bombay FM. So Bombay, I used to play Western music at I don't remember the channel and all, whether it was Times or what it was, but I was actually catching Bombay FM because of the height I was on at that time.
And when in my college days, I used to have a shortwave radio. There was tapes and all were like not affordable. So I used to listen to shortwave and Voice of America, Radio Australia, and when Michael Jackson got all those Grammys and all that time, I used to listen to radio before going for exams. Also, I used to listen to radio, and I had made a timetable with all the timings. Like there was a Chennai station, there was Sri Lanka radio, Sri Lanka also, Radio Australia, and all that. And I used to listen to different programs on that time.
Did
That was the connection.
you also catch EFM from Sri Lanka?
And that was medium wave.
No, it was medium wave, short wave at that time.
Yeah, medium wave and short wave.
Uh,
No FM. FM
yeah.
range cannot reach.
What was that? What was that radio thing that you'd got? Which
Oh,
used
that was
to-
world. What was that? World.
World
When we
Space
got that
Radio.
World
world-
Space.
Workspace.
That also I had bought, but
Satellite
that
radio.
unfortunately
Yeah,
went
satellite
away.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Workspace.
Yeah.
satellite
I still
radio.
have that
Satellite
antenna
radio.
right there. I have not removed that.
Acha.
The antenna is still there. I saw it yesterday
Oh,
when I went
Yeah,
downstairs.
it's like a modem sort of. I had that.
Yeah. Correct.
It looks like the G3 in your case. It looks like the
Yes.
in your G3. Yeah, like the receiver.
And how things have changed today. Our smartphone, we've got everything thanks to the
Yeah.
internet. Huh? Great.
So guys,
Fali-
it's 2 hours.
Fali
Yeah,
kar
I think-
And I must say, I think Fali is tied up. He's got kids at home right now.
Yeah.
So I would like to sincerely say a big thank you to all of you. Ashish Saksena, I mean, we know you also, you are working right now. You have a lot of projects on you right now also, even in this lockdown. And all of you are, people look up to you, and that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to spread the positive energy and the morale. And thank you, Camille. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Nitin, Aseem. Thank you, Fali Damania. Very much, very grateful. And looking forward to staying in touch with you all and meeting you all more often.
Thank you all.
Likewise.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank you for having
thank you
us.
for your time. It was really lovely discussing all
Very
the things
interesting.
together.
Yeah.
And we will soon now have a offline Zoom meeting.
Absolutely.
To discuss.
All right.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you all.
bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.